Hello and welcome to another edition of Autocar Professional Dialogues. Today we're in conversation with Mr. Stephane Sanchez, who is the head of APAC for customer experience at Ipsos. Stephane, thank you so much for talking to Autocar Professional.
Thanks for your time. Really appreciate you taking the time today.
So would like to broadly start by asking you, how are we seeing consumer buying trends sort of change in the automotive space right now, and especially after COVID?
Yeah.
What sort of transformations have happened, and what do we see more going forward in the future?
Yeah. So what really has changed is that during post-COVID, basically the online car buying process has been becoming more and more important, and where we have seen a massive change is basically what we call the offline to online pattern, where consumer basically would spend way more time, especially during the research phase online, but they will still go in a dealership to actually get interaction about the product, get to actually experience the product. So the role of the dealership is actually changing. Last time it used to be very transactional, where people would go as part of the purchasing process. Now they are looking at it more as a way to get advice, but also experience the brand. So the role of the dealership basically would need to evolve moving forward. We're already seeing that with some of the manufacturer really investing a lot of effort and money into doing so. But we see basically that's going to be a trend moving forward the next few years for all manufacturers.
Right. And what have customers started asking from OEMs right now? I mean, have their demands also changed? And if I talk about India, right now there's a lot of premiumization happening in the market. People are moving up the ladder in terms of their options, their choices. So what have customers now come to ask from the OEMs or the dealerships?
Yeah, so I mean, one thing we have seen, and not necessarily just in this industry, but across all industry from a CX perspective, is that as consumer, we basically take what we experience in other industry and we translate it and transfer it into any category we want actually to make a purchase. So what basically as a consumer you experience from other brand, you expect the same thing, especially from car manufacturer, like what you were saying, right? You want premium experience, you want speed. Speed is something that's what we're saying in terms of car buying process. People want to have a seamless, fast experience, especially when it comes to finding the right information, getting the right advice, and so on. They want especially the sales team to be a trusted advisor. They expect them basically to provide the right information, be knowledgeable, but also still in the way of providing a great experience.
Right.
So like you said rightly, having this premium experience throughout their journey when it comes to buying a car, but also when it comes to servicing. They also expect when they have their car being serviced to have that premium experience being delivered to them. So this is also something that the younger generation basically are demanding, are going to demand more and more moving forward, especially I foresee in India.
Right. So when you say premium experience, it's to do with speed, agility, transparency, maybe the ambience inside.
Exactly. All this. So end-to-end, right? Whether it's online or offline, they expect basically the experience to say exactly what you said. Speed, trust, anything also that has to do with ESG, right? Which is really big right now. So they expect car manufacturer as part of what they deliver to really deliver on this aspect. And also, like you said, the experience when they're actually visiting the dealership, right? They want it to be a premium experience where they get what they expect or what they have seen, especially in the digital world.
So are digital tools or is technology really empowering OEMs to sort of offer this sort of a premium experience to customers right now?
So they have started. Interestingly, we have talked to a few clients and they were sharing that basically they're all looking at it. When you talk especially about AI, right, which is going to be a huge game changer, especially in this industry, they are still on the path to implement and look at what's going to work or not. So it's going to take a bit of time, and it's not just in this industry; it's across multiple industries. But that's something we are discussing with them about how can they actually leverage technology to make the experience better, like we said, faster, but also ensure that they deliver at the end of the day throughout the different interaction that the customer will have with them, that premium experience that the customer expecting.
So is this technology going to sort of bring an amalgamation of online and offline together?
Correct. So basically what you are looking at right now is most car manufacturers are sitting on a lot of data about their customers. So how can you actually leverage and bring all that together to really deliver that personalization and that personalized experience that also younger generation are expecting, because they are getting it from other brands right now outside this industry. So they expect the same.
Right.
The next phase is going what we call hyper personalization, where you have all the data about you. I already know basically what you're expecting from me. So in terms of messaging, in terms of support, servicing, I know exactly how and what I need to do before even you interact with me.
Right. And Stephane, with electric vehicles now sort of coming into the mainstay sort of, so what is the opportunity for OEMs right now? Because if I take the examples from some Indian OEMs, we have Tata Motors, which is one of the leading players in the EV space. They have gone ahead and they have sort of separated their EV portfolio completely from ICE, and have opened standalone EV showrooms for customers to visit if they're looking to buy an EV. So what sort of opportunities do OEMs have when you talk about this transition towards electric vehicles?
I mean, actually, we were discussing a lot this morning about it. It's going to take a while. I think we have seen how he has worked in other markets. I mean, if you look at Europe, US, and etc., I mean, challenges have happened, right? Especially for very, very established OEM. So what we're expecting here at least is, like you said, the EV experience is something that customers already been seeing. Like if you look at Tesla, what they have been doing, how they have actually changed the industry. I mean, if you step into a Tesla showroom, for example, it's something very different. Right. Just transform the experience that traditional OEM were providing. So I think we're definitely going into a very different space where, like you were saying, also technology is going to play an even bigger role. And when you look at how EV cars are actually equipped, so it's a completely different world in some ways. So for OEM, is also how they're going to manage that transition from their part, and also how they're going to therefore deliver a different experience that they used to be basically delivering as part of their traditional cars.
You brought Tesla into the picture, so I mean, there's another concept with Tesla, that is coming in is direct to customer retail.
Exactly.
So do you see the possibility of that in a market like India? Because India is a completely different market altogether. I mean, the majority of the volume lies in a very entry level sort of a segment. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so if we look at, I mean, we took a look at Tesla, but you look at how the OEMs have been doing, especially in that space. I think if you look at the younger generation, those are, I guess, more ready to this kind of model direct to consumer. I think one thing we have actually learned through a study we have done in Ipsos is that if you look at the past to purchase right now, take an average about 15 hours for a customer to actually cover that, and actually more than half of this time is spent online on researching information and therefore interacting with digital channels. So I think the younger generation is more ready in some ways because that's how they are practicing on the day to day. So for them, basically the concept of buying even a car through a direct to consumer and using more digital channels is something that they are more probably ready for rather than the other. Not saying that older people won't do it, but thinking about myself, you still like that interaction with human beings. So I think this is going to be a very interesting path for them to see how it's going to work. Do they need to basically have different approach for different segment of customers? The segment the more keen basically to explore, especially direct to consumer with OEMs.
Right. But what challenges do you see OEMs are likely to face in this entire D2C concept?
I think first of all, is the experience of doing it, right? We have seen that in other industry where if you look at FMCG client who also during COVID that started to do DTC, right? It was a big learning curve for them because basically it's a brand new way of selling. And therefore managing experience also because in the past, they have been basically pushing that to actually retailers. In the case of OEM, basically dealers are basically taking care of that. So managing the experience, managing how customer may complain, and all the CX ecosystem therefore need to rely on them. So they need to learn about it. They need to have all the good practice put in it. There's a lot of also backend that need to be put in place. So it's a big learning curve that they will need to manage, which they didn't have in the past.
Right. And what are some of the trends which in India we're likely to see when we talk about retail experience in the automotive segment in the coming maybe 5 years down the line by 2030?
So I think what's happening right now is trust is really number one globally when it comes about customer experience, and it's definitely coming here. Is is as a brand, you position yourself and you send message to your customer about things that you would stand for in the market, and how do you actually deliver that from an experience standpoint? So how do you build that trust with your customer is number one. We talk about personalization. That would come definitely, and it probably is already here, but how do you actually push that forward?
Right.
You need really to show to your client that you care about them and you really want to deliver that great experience. The last thing is really about more from an organization perspective is how do you actually break the silos? When you look especially from these industries, the sales and after sales process are still pretty much silos. And when you talk to organization, they really work in silos. So how do you break that to really make that end-to-end experience as seamless as possible?
Right.
Some companies have really started doing that and they have some great results, but I think that's something that they need to nail if they want to succeed.
Right. Great, Stephane. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your time talking to Autocar Professional. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.